Good evening, everybody. Welcome to today's Daily Devotional. So our Daily Devotional today is going to come from an article I found a day ago. I saw this, thought it was interesting. The title of it is "One Alcoholic Drink Raises Risk of Irregular Heartbeat," study suggests. Atrial fibrillation, the most commonly treated heart arrhythmia, involves an irregular heartbeat, per the CDC. A single alcoholic drink was associated with a twofold increased risk of atrial fibrillation or irregular heartbeat, researchers found. The findings, published in Annals of Internal Medicine, appear to contradict the perception that alcohol can be cardioprotective, according to the University of California, San Francisco. The study was funded by the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism and involved 100 participants, most of whom were white males, and 56 had at least one atrial fibrillation episode. Contrary to common belief that atrial fibrillation is associated with heavy alcohol consumption, it appears that even one alcohol drink may be enough to increase the risk. Our results show that the occurrence of atrial fibrillation might be neither random nor unpredictable. Instead, there may be identifiable and modifiable ways of preventing an acute heart arrhythmia episode. Results also associated at least two drinks with an over threefold increased risk of atrial fibrillation over the next 4 hours, and identified a correlation between blood alcohol concentration and heightened risk of irregular heartbeat. According to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, atrial fibrillation, also often called AFib, is the most common type of treated heart arrhythmia. Arrhythmia is when the heart beats too slowly, too fast, or in an irregular way. Researchers conducted the study by recruiting patients from cardiology, outpatient clinics who had at least one alcohol drink per month. The study excluded people with a history of substance or alcohol abuse. They were tasked with wearing an electrocardiogram for 4 weeks. They pressed a button upon consuming a standard-sized alcoholic drink. They were also fitted with a recording alcohol sensor and periodically underwent blood tests. According to the UCSF, study participants averaged about one drink daily throughout the time under the study. The study had its limitations, including possibility that participants forgot to press the monitor or neglected to do so due to embarrassment. Those sensor readings wouldn't have been unaffected. Sample also doesn't include the general population, but was limited to patients with established atrial fibrillation. This is the most objective, measurable evidence that a modifiable exposure may acutely influence the chance that atrial fibrillation episode will occur. I saw this and I thought this was very interesting because a lot of times individuals who defend the use of alcohol, and obviously this would go against this particular some alcohol consumption may benefit heart disease patient study suggests. This contradicts the whole cardioprotective concept. But you know how a lot of times people, they defend the use of alcohol for health purposes, in the sense that, studies have shown that by drinking a glass of red wine every night, that it somehow protects your heart, or it's good for you, or something like that. When it's what's contained in the grape juice that is also contained in wine that is the focus of that. And so grape juice would actually give you a greater benefit than red wine. But it's one of those things that goes to show that a lot of times people will use reasons to justify doing something that they want to do. And certainly, Paul told Timothy to take a little wine for your stomach's sake. Obviously, there are certain occasions where we take medications for health purposes that may cause us to become drowsy or sleepy or woozy or whatever. There are some situations where you could perhaps, when medications won't work, or alcohol might, for specific reasons that could be chalked up to health reasons to do that. But the point that I'm making is that it's important to remember that as the Bible, in terms of Bible terms, you've got two main concepts, especially in the New Testament, but even in the Old Testament. You've got wine, and then you have strong drink. And strong drink in both the Old and the New Testaments was the purely alcoholic content, whereas the wine was watered down. Okay, in fact, it was generally 3 parts water to 1 part wine. It was watered down. It purified the water that they had to drink, and as Peter pointed out in Acts chapter 2, we would have to be drinking all day to even get close to being affected by wine. But strong drink is it's the pure stuff. That's the stuff specifically designed to get a person drunk. And at no point in the New Testament is strong drink ever approved or ever shown to be okay. In Proverbs 20 and in verse 1, I know it's kind of hidden behind the thing here. It says, "Wine is a mocker, strong drink is a brawler, and whoever is led astray by it is not wise." And then, of course, there's constant reminders in the New Testament to be sober-minded, and the importance of being aware of ourselves. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and in verse 6, therefore let us not sleep as others do, but let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night. Those who get drunk are drunk at night. Let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and as a helmet the hope of salvation. A lot of times people point out, well, drunk, yeah, but drunk is such and such and such blood alcohol level. Well, the term drunk in the New Testament, it simply means inebriated. It simply means affected by alcohol. And science shows that one alcoholic drink, whether it's a single can of beer, a glass of wine, a shot of hard liquor, can move your blood alcohol level to 0.02%. And at that point, there's a chart that shows that at 0.02%, your inhibition's lower. And you are affected at that point. Whether you realize it or not is beside the point. And so the argument that, drunk. Well, you're making that subjective because different people have different standards of what accounts to being drunk. The Bible standard is, are you affected? Is your judgment impaired? Is there any effect on you that could cause your inhibitions to be lowered? And after one drink, your inhibitions have the potential to be lowered. Now, again, having said that, I think the more important discussion, the more important concept or the most important, not necessarily more important, but is looking at why people tend to do those things. Usually, generally speaking, it boils down to 2 main reasons. Either A, they want to fit in with their friends. The coworkers are going out to the bar. I've been invited. I don't want to be a wet blanket. I want to go. I'll drink with them. The pressure from friends because everybody else is drinking. I want to fit in. I'm going to drink too. That's generally how it happens. Or because people are depressed. People are having a hard time in their lives. They want to feel better, or they don't want to feel bad or depressed. And so for a short time, alcohol may hide or cover those feelings or emotions. It doesn't solve anything. It doesn't change anything. But it enables them to be able to forget about it for a little while. And generally, those are the 2 reasons why people drink, usually. And those 2 reasons really aren't good reasons for an individual interested in serving God to give themselves to something that could potentially impair their judgment, cause them to do things they wouldn't ordinarily do, lower their inhibitions. And Obviously, as we talked about Sunday, with regard to peer pressure, regard to our friends, our coworkers, people around us, we need to stand out. We need to be different. We get invited to a bar, and well, I don't drink. You don't drink? Who doesn't drink? Well, I'm a Christian, and I believe that the Bible teaches that we're not to be involved in that sort of thing. We'll go to a restaurant. I'll go to a restaurant with you. Go out to eat or go get coffee or something. But I'm not going to a bar to drink. And that offers the opportunity, provides an opportunity to be an example and to maybe raise people's spiritual awareness. And when it comes to issues in life, things that we're dealing with, obviously sometimes we do need assistance. Sometimes, obviously we pray about things. We ask God for help. We ask God for guidance. But sometimes there's actual clinical issues involved in depression, and sometimes we can get assistance with that. And there are things that can be done for that. Certainly self-medication as it comes to alcoholism and so forth is not the way to deal with that. That is not the way to handle things. And if we're involved in drinking simply because we're stressed or because we're worried or because something bad happened in our lives, we need to develop other coping skills. We need to develop certainly more religious, more biblical, more scriptural coping skills to deal with things like that. If we're not praying as much as we should, we need to pray more. Okay, you can't pray too many times to God about something that's bothering you. Paul prayed 3 times about his thorn in the flesh. Jesus prayed 3 times in the garden. That's not to say 3 times is the limit in any such way, but those are several examples of individuals who prayed multiple times for the same thing. And like I said, sometimes we may need to go see a counselor or go see a psychiatrist or something like that if it's something more clinical, something that's more chronic. And they can certainly help with that. But you look at these types of things, and when it comes to things like alcohol, and there's a lot of effort to justify or defend the ability to drink, and I'm not sure what the point of it is. I'm not sure what the purpose is of defending it, because it would seem that regardless of for if an individual thinks it's okay to drink, the dangers outweigh whatever argument an individual gives for whatever possible good outcomes may come. It just isn't worth it. Some people, because there are medications that for people with insomnia, some medications they don't work sometimes. And so sometimes doctors will prescribe certain types of liquor, a certain amount, to be able to drink at night before bed, and that helps them. And that's fine. That's okay. If it helps you and it's for the purpose of going to sleep, and you have insomnia, something that you can't help, that's fine. That's something that you have to use. As Paul told Timothy to take a little wine for your stomach's sake. But Paul didn't tell Timothy to get drunk for your stomach's sake. He didn't tell Timothy to just throw up your hands and do what you want and because of your stomach's sake. And I think a lot of times people, even religious individuals, when they try to defend the concept of alcohol and the concept of drinking, ultimately that's kind of how they view it. Well, take a little wine for your stomach's sake, so I'm going to go out with my friends, or I don't really feel good about myself, so take a little wine for your stomach's sake. That's not how we use that. That's not the way to apply that. So anyway, I saw that article and I thought that was interesting. I thought it was something that kind of just flies in the face of oh well, drinking is good for you. Drinking's good for your heart. And granted, there's some to be fair, there are some limitations to that study. Obviously, individuals who had suffered, atrial fibrillation at some point, which, generally speaking, I think most people at some point in their lives deal with atrial fibrillation for some reasons. And but it's an interesting article to show that, oh no, drinking helps your heart. Drinking wine, is good for you. It's a good preventative, and not necessarily. Not necessarily. And so again, the preventative tends to be the I forget what the it's a chemical or something that's in grape juice that is also contained in wine that tends to be good for your heart. And then I think there's antioxidants and stuff like that, and grape juice is a real good source of antioxidants. So, it's just one of those things where, oh, wine's so good for you. Wine's so good. Well, grape juice would be better for you. Well, I don't want to drink grape juice. I want to drink wine. So that tends to be the thought process sometimes. So it's just a thought for us to remember. And again, beyond just the idea of drinking, is anything that can cause us to become inhibited or uninhibited, cause us to be impaired. That's not just alcohol. I mean, drugs can do that. And even to a certain extent, certain types of addictions that may not necessarily be bad in themselves, beyond moderation, can be a problem as well. Food addiction, where all I want to do is eat because I'm depressed or whatever, that's a problem. We talk about all things being done in moderation, and certainly you can take even good things, even perfectly fine, healthy things, and turn them into something that's not healthy. I mean, for whether it's psychological reasons or whatever, and we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware of how we handle things. Be aware of our ability to properly judge ourselves and to judge our situation and to properly maintain the inhibitions that keep us on the straight and narrow to do what God wants us to do. All right. That's the Daily Devotional for you today. Lord willing, tomorrow we'll have our next Daily Devotional at 6:30. I hope to see you all then. Thanks, everybody.